July 1922, at this point, he has retired from being Assistant Secretary of the Navy. Right. He just had a failed run.
Behind the polished glass counters of the world-famous gold and silver pawn shop, where rare artifacts and priceless history pass through skilled hands, there exists a figure whose presence feels almost cinematic, calm, precise, and quietly authoritative. Rebecca, often introduced simply as a rare book specialist on Pawn Stars, is far more than a recurring expert. She represents a bridge between forgotten history and modern curiosity. While the cameras capture only fragments of her expertise, the untold truth lies in the depth of her knowledge, the intensity of her discipline, and the remarkable journey that brought her into a world dominated by negotiation, skepticism, and high-stakes valuation. Unlike the core cast, whose personalities are amplified for entertainment, Rebecca operates in a different dimension, one where facts outweigh opinions, and authenticity is everything. Her words carry weight not because they are dramatic, but because they are definitive. What viewers rarely see is the rigorous foundation behind her calm demeanor. Rebecca's understanding of rare books, manuscripts, and historical documents is not a casual interest. It is a result of years of study, hands-on experience, and immersion in a niche world where a single detail can change the value of an item from a few dollars to hundreds of thousands. In an industry where forgery is common and authenticity is constantly questioned, her role becomes crucial. She doesn't just evaluate items, she deciphers them. The texture of paper, the typeface of ink, the binding style, even the faint scent of age, these are clues she reads like a detective examining a crime scene. Each appearance on the show is, in reality, the tip of an iceberg of expertise that remains largely invisible to the audience. But perhaps the most compelling aspect of Rebecca's story is how she navigates a space that thrives on personality-driven entertainment without becoming part of the spectacle. In a show known for humor, banter, and occasional tension, she remains grounded, almost unaffected by the theatrics around her. This contrast is not accidental. It is a reflection of her professional identity. She is not there to entertain. She is there to authenticate truth. And in doing so, she subtly reshapes the tone of every scene she enters. Conversations slow down. Assumptions are challenged. The focus shifts from profit to provenance, from deal-making to historical significance. There is also an unspoken strength in her presence, a quiet confidence that doesn't demand attention but commands respect. In a male-dominated environment where negotiation often leans toward assertiveness and dominance, Rebecca's approach is different. She relies on precision rather than persuasion, knowledge rather than negotiation tactics. This makes her influence unique. She doesn't argue her point. She proves it. And once proven, there is little room for doubt. This dynamic not only elevates her role on the show, but also highlights a deeper narrative about expertise and credibility in a world that often prioritizes charisma over competence. Beyond the shop and the cameras, Rebecca's real-world impact extends into the preservation of history itself. Rare books and manuscripts are not just collectibles. They are fragments of human civilization, carrying stories, ideas, and voices from centuries past. By authenticating and valuing these items, she plays a role in ensuring that history is not lost, misrepresented, or undervalued. Each document she examined could hold cultural, political, or literary significance, and her ability to recognize that importance transforms her work into something far greater than appraisal. It becomes preservation. Yet, despite her expertise and contributions, Rebecca remains one of the most understated figures associated with Pawn Stars. This understated presence is, in many ways, her greatest strength. In an era where visibility often equals validation, she proves that true authority doesn't need to be loud. It exists in the details, in the accuracy of information, and in the trust that others place in your judgment. Her appearances may be brief, but their impact lingers, shaping decisions, influencing deals, and reminding viewers that behind every object lies a story waiting to be understood. The untold truth about Rebecca is not just about her credentials or her role on a television show. It is about what she represents. She is a reminder that expertise is built, not performed, that knowledge carries its own quiet power, and that in a world driven by quick transactions and surface-level impressions, there are still individuals dedicated to uncovering deeper truths. In every scene she appears, she brings with her an invisible weight, the weight of history, authenticity, and intellectual rigor. And perhaps that is what makes her so compelling. Not because she seeks the spotlight, but because she doesn't need it. In the ever-changing landscape of reality television, where personalities often overshadow substance, Rebecca stands as a rare constant, a figure defined not by drama, but by depth. Her story, largely untold, is one of discipline, precision, and unwavering commitment to truth. And in a place where everything has a price, she reminds us that some things, knowledge, authenticity, and integrity, are truly priceless. As the world of porn stars continues to thrive on the thrill of rare discoveries and high-stakes deals, Rebecca's presence quietly redefines what value truly means, shifting the focus from profit to purpose, from numbers to narrative, and from speculation to certainty. Because when she steps into a scene, an object is no longer just something to be bought or sold, but a living fragment of history with context, origin, and meaning. And her ability to see beyond the surface transforms every evaluation into a deeper exploration of human legacy, where the texture of paper, the style of ink, and the smallest historical detail become clues that she pieces together with precision, revealing stories that would otherwise remain buried in time. And while others in the shop rely on negotiation, instinct, or personality, Rebecca operates on a completely different level where facts dominate and authenticity is everything, creating a powerful contrast that elevates a role from a simple expert to a guardian of truth, someone who doesn't argue, or persuade but proves. And once she does, her conclusions carry a quiet authority that reshapes entire transactions. Yet what makes her even more compelling is not just her knowledge, but the discipline behind it, years of study, experience, and immersion in a specialized world where mistakes are costly and credibility is earned through consistency. And despite working in an environment driven by entertainment and fast-paced exchanges, she remains grounded, composed, and untouched by theatrics, reflecting a professional identity built on depth rather than display. And beyond the cameras, her influence extends into the preservation of intellectual heritage itself, ensuring that rare books and manuscripts are not only valued correctly but also recognized for their cultural and historical significance, safeguarding voices from the past that might otherwise be lost. And in doing so, she highlights a larger truth about expertise in the modern age, where quick information often replaces deep understanding. Yet her presence reminds us that true mastery cannot be rushed or replicated. It must be built over time. And there is also a subtle resilience in the way she navigates a space where authority could easily be questioned. Yet she never resorts to force or dominance, instead allowing her knowledge to stand as undeniable proof, reinforcing a kind of power that is quiet but unshakable. And while she may not dominate screen time or seek the spotlight, her impact is felt in the most critical moments where authenticity is uncertain and decisions depend on accuracy, making her role not just important but essential to the very integrity of the show. Because without voices like Hayes, the entire structure would collapse into assumption and guesswork. And ultimately, the untold truth about Rebecca is not hidden in dramatic revelations, but in the consistency of her precision, the depth of her expertise, and the unwavering commitment to truth that defines her work. Proving that in a world driven by noise and visibility, real authority often exists in silence, and real value lies not in what something costs, but in what it truly is. As the legacy of porn stars continues to unfold with every new episode, Rebecca's role becomes even more significant when viewed through a wider lens, because beyond the immediate transactions and on-screen evaluations, she represents a deeper philosophy about knowledge, authenticity, and the responsibility that comes with understanding history, where every document she examines is not just an object but a surviving witness to time itself, carrying within it the thoughts, intentions, and realities of those who came before. And in a world increasingly driven by speed, convenience, and surface-level information, her work stands as a quiet resistance to that culture, reminding us that true understanding requires patience, focus, and a willingness to look beyond what is immediately visible. And while the show thrives on the excitement of deals being made or rejected, Rebecca's presence introduces a different kind of tension, the tension between assumption and fact, between belief and evidence, where a single detail she uncovers can completely shift the narrative of an item, turning certainty into doubt or doubt into undeniable truth. And this ability to alter perception is what gives her influence a unique weight, because she is not shaping opinions, she is revealing reality, and in doing so, she reinforces the idea that history is not static but something that must be carefully interpreted and protected. And there's also an intellectual discipline in her approach that, sets her apart, a methodical process of observation and verification that reflects years of immersion in a field where even the smallest inconsistency can expose a forgery or redefine value entirely. And yet, despite the complexity of her work, she communicates her findings with clarity and calmness, making intricate historical details accessible without diminishing their importance, which further strengthens her role as both an expert and an educator, even if that role is never formally acknowledged. And beyond the technical aspects, there is a subtle but powerful message in her consistency, showing that credibility is not built through loud declarations or dramatic moments, but through accuracy, reliability, and trust earned over time. And this message extends beyond the show itself, resonating with anyone who values knowledge and integrity in their own field, because Rebecca's journey reflects a universal truth. That mastery is a long, often unseen process that demands dedication without immediate recognition. And in many ways, her story challenges the very nature of modern visibility, where influence is often measured by presence and popularity. Yet she proves that true impact does not require constant attention. It requires substance. And as viewers continue to watch items being bought and sold, often focusing on the financial outcomes, her role quietly redirects attention to something more enduring, the preservation of meaning, the protection of authenticity, and the understanding that behind every artifact lies a story that deserves to be told accurately. And in the end, what makes Rebecca truly remarkable is not just what she knows, but what she represents: a commitment to truth in a world that often settles for approximation, a dedication to depth in an era of shortcuts, and a reminder that some of the most powerful influences are not the ones that demand to be seen, but the ones that ensure what we see is real. As the narrative arc of porn stars continues to evolve in a landscape where entertainment often blurs the line between reality and performance, Rebecca's presence becomes an anchor that holds the show firmly grounded in truth. And this role, though subtle, carries an immense weight because it reinforces the very credibility that allows the series to exist as more than just spectacle. And while viewers are drawn in by the unpredictability of deals and the personalities behind the counter, it is experts like her who ensure that every conclusion reaches rooted in evidence rather than assumption, creating a balance that is rarely acknowledged but constantly felt. And beyond her immediate contributions, there is a larger implication in what she represents: a quiet challenge to a culture that often prioritizes speed over accuracy and confidence over correctness, where her methodical approach stands as proof that careful observation and deep knowledge still hold unmatched value. And in each moment she appears, there is an unspoken lesson unfolding, one that teaches the importance of questioning, verifying, and understanding before making judgments. And this lesson extends far beyond the walls of the pawn shop, resonating in a world where misinformation can spread faster than truth, making her commitment to precision not just relevant, but essential. And there is also a unique kind of discipline in the way she remains consistent regardless of the situation. Whether an item turns out to be extraordinarily valuable or disappointingly ordinary, her approach does not change, reflecting a level of professionalism that is defined by stability rather than reaction. And this consistency builds a foundation of trust that both the show and its audience rely on, even if they are not consciously aware of it. And as time goes on, her role subtly shapes the identity of the series itself, reinforcing that Pawn Stars is not merely about transactions, but about discovery, understanding, and the pursuit of authenticity. And in this way, Rebecca becomes more than just an expert. She becomes a symbol of integrity within a format that could easily lean toward exaggeration,